We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 17, and it feels weird just saying it, of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. On this week's episode of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast, we're going to address a rumor. I know you've all heard it. That would be the rumor that Forgot to Grow Up is actually based on a book that was written in 1867. We're here to dispel that rumor, obviously, because that would be a ridiculous premise. But we are going to talk about our favorite film adaptations of books. And I almost said movies. That one's for you, Scott. And then we're going to tie the entire thing with the bow, and oh my God, I've blown the entire thing up. That's fine. Powering on. WWWTW.
I stand by it.
That's all that matters. We're going to talk about what we watched this week. So, in a delightful change of pace, and to make up for the fact that I just completely botched our intro and we're going to keep it anyway, I'm going to start. Film adaptations. My favorite, and I completely forgot about it till Andrew brought it up just before we did the episode, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh my
Power
God.
move.
I don't think that
Power
was even
start.
on my list. And that's
It wasn't. I totally spaced until Craig mentioned 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I was like, "Fuck! How did I not think about Hitchhiker's Guide?"
I don't know how I forgot about it either. I don't know how it wasn't on the lists I looked at too. I looked at like
I don't know.
400 movies that were based on books, and I swear none of them were Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Maybe
And
people
I love
think
that
it was
movie.
bad. I love it too.
Yeah.
And it's not identical to the book, but it's not that
Hey,
far
based
off.
off of is still based off of.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
It's not that far off. There's another movie on my list that is even more loosely based than Hitchhiker's Guide, and it's on there. So, and I'm talking about Apocalypse Now. For those of you who are keeping score at home, we talked about that one already.
Yes, we have.
And that one's based on Heart of Darkness, obviously.
For those
Do
of
you
you
want
who
me to
didn't pay attention in high school literature.
Yeah, some of us read that in grade 11. Some of us watched Apocalypse Now in grade 11.
Some of us didn't either.
Some of us did both.
Exactly. Some of us did both. Some of us didn't either. Whatever.
Was that the one we got kicked out of, Andrew? Or was that a different
Oh,
movie?
it might have been. No, that was the Lion King we got
Lion
kicked
King.
out of.
We made 3 minutes into for Mr. Kalos.
It kicked us out.
The F out. Like, I'm pretty sure he actually swore on us.
That wouldn't surprise
It was
me.
either the Lion King or Macbeth. It was one of them.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And he sent us. Yeah, he kicked us out, and we had to go to the cafeteria.
Yes, sir. But I don't remember anything really about Apocalypse Now, since that wasn't the one we got kicked out of. But I remember vaguely remember part of Heart of Darkness. I feel like I definitely Googled that book.
All I
to get
remember
through
from
it.
Heart of Darkness is the Congo
That's
and rivets. That's it.
Yeah.
The Congo and rivets and a boat. From Apocalypse Now, I can.
Was there something to do with diamonds too, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, something to do with diamonds.
No, it was Ivory, wasn't
Was
it?
it?
That would make more sense.
Something expensive and questionable.
You can tell that we did not pay attention too much to the
book.
I
literature.
didn't do great in high school
remember-
English class.
I remember Apocalypse Now only because it had Martin Sheen. And
I love the smell of napalm in the
I love
morning.
the smell of napalm in the morning, and Marlon Brando with a very bald head,
Very
and
bald.
Some 70s classic rock or 60s classic rock. I don't want to sound like I'm an idiot, and not know when the Vietnam War happened.
That wasn't
It
part of our
wasn't in
history
the
class.
past.
We're
It wasn't our
Canadian.
war.
For those for American listeners, we are Canadian. We don't know
We
anything
didn't-
about you guys.
we didn't.
You don't know anything about us, so you know what?
At
I think it's
all.
fair. You tell us what our capital city is, and then maybe I'll learn about that.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much all I remember from Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, I remember, like, I know the context. Like, I've definitely seen a bunch of movie clips and stuff like that, but I've definitely never sat down and watched the whole thing myself.
The only things I remember from grade 11 English class are watching that and watching Ghost,
Ghost.
which is terrible.
And I don't think it's based off a book. So what's next on your list?
Okay, my list is completely unorganized. I don't want to take away the.
I thought you were gonna say your list was complete.
Yeah,
and
I thought
like,
you were gonna go that way too, and I was like,
damn,
that's
three
Craig.
movies.
That's Craig for us.
No. I don't want to take the easy pickings away. So I'll pick on the more difficult ones to get to. 2001: A Space Odyssey. We already mentioned that. We mentioned that whenever we talked about it. Yeah. Around the World in 80 Days, which I read the book.
Classic.
And
Which movie do you like? Because there's an original, and then there's the Jackie Chan one. Which
we don't want the Jackie Chan one.
Is the Jackie Chan one.
I love the Jackie Chan one. It's got
Oh,
Schwarzenegger
man.
cameo in it.
That's
like
the only
king
good
of
thing
the
about that
place.
movie for me.
I love that one because Jackie Chan's just running all over the place trying to get his own thing
Well,
done. And
I read the book when I was like 7.
That's fair.
So like
That's
it's
fair.
like I grew attached to what it was supposed to be.
yeah,
And it was not based off of a small Chinese village in the heart of China
Well, see,
and some talisman and Schwarzenegger.
I have a rant that's coming out, or it's already out by the time this podcast launches. I'm recording it though after this podcast. Anyways, that's about like source material and movies, and it's based off of it enough. You know why? Because they go around the world and they try and do it in 80 days, and Jackie Chan's in it. So what do I care?
For me, I'm just saying. For me, that was a rewrite
No.
that didn't need to happen.
I guess I
used to
understand
love that movie. So that's why
I just
that was on
approve
my
of
list.
Jackie Chan doing anything.
Of course you do.
We all know this. I think I've mentioned
yeah.
this before. Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger can do no wrong in my mind.
I am the prince.
I love that scene so much. That's so many things that I just didn't understand when I first saw it too, like sexual innuendo that I just.
Yep. Where he's trying to like get her to come like his like 17th wife or something.
Yep, exactly. It's just awesome.
And they never really explain why an Austrian man is like out there
Yeah, no, they don't even do it.
as a prince. Anyways, Craig, back to your list.
Yeah. So I have To Kill a Mockingbird on here. I never read the book, but I did recently.
Sweet
watch
Gregory Peck.
I haven't seen the movie or read the book.
The movie is pretty good, in my opinion.
It is
something that's black and
beautiful.
white.
It is on my
it's a
list.
good
I
movie.
actually wrote a list
It's on Netflix, I think.
Yes,
of
it is. That's how I
classics
watched
that I
it.
haven't got to. Because I know there's a few on Andrew's list that I probably haven't seen either. Or at least one in particular that I know is on Andrew's list.
Well,
what was it about that one you like? Tell me a little about it. Convince me to watch it, Craig.
I quite like the acting. I didn't know the story, so I got to read or learn the story as I went along. I can be a sucker for a good old black and white movie.
That's fair.
So there's that too, and yeah, it was a pretty good movie. That's about all the selling I can do for you without ruining things.
That's fair. It is. It's one of those classics that I've always been meaning to get to. But I actually was thinking about this when I was making part of my list, and I think it's because I've just never seen a trailer for some of them. You know, like they were out before my time, so I've never seen a trailer to know what
decades
they're about.
before our
Exactly,
time.
way before. Well, I'm just using generic any movie that
Back
came
when
out
they didn't
before
even
us.
do trailers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like that's probably why I haven't seen a lot of them because I have so little idea what like To Kill a Mockingbird is about. Besides, it's based on a book. That's all I know.
It's about racial tensions in the southern United States.
It has something to do with like a court case, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know like
Yes.
a little bit, like again out of context from videos and parodies and stuff like that. I have a little context.
Gregory Peck plays the defense lawyer Atticus Finch, and he defends the black man.
Which has, like, Atticus Finch is up there for awesome names.
Best names
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
That's a great
Definitely.
name.
If Atticus Finch was on Star Killer Base, I would just stop
Just
watching the movie because that's as good as it gets.
Sorry, guys.
Star Wars is done. Doesn't get better than
You
this.
could only be a Star Wars character.
Yeah.
He would fit in as a Star Wars character for sure. So there, yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird's on my list. Robin Hood is one where I've read the book, seen the movie, and
Which
I'm
movie?
talking
Now,
about the animated.
now for that, do you
Robin
count
Hood.
Robin Hood Men in Tights?
No, I'm only counting the animated.
You don't count. You're gonna have to write Carrie Elways a letter and apologize for not counting that movie. Then
That's fine. I've never seen it, so I'm not gonna count it.
Yeah, I've never seen it either, so I can't comment too much on it.
You've never seen Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Again,
No,
I
but
think
I
it's
do
on
like
Netflix.
Carrie
I
Elways.
added it to my
God.
list
Is it?
recently because I honestly
It's
thought I had
so
seen
corny.
it, and then I
Is
realized
it?
no, it's not the one I saw because I think it came out around the same time as the Kevin Costner one. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Is it Kevin
Yeah, I've
Costner?
seen that one
Yeah,
too, and
yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah, that one I didn't.
Really, you didn't like that one either?
I thought that was
God.
okay. That was okay.
Well, I saw it
didn't
a
love
long time ago.
That's fair. It's been a while. Wasn't the bad guy in that Alan
My
Rickman?
Google doesn't run fast enough. Just
Was
a
it?
second.
I think it might have
Was
been.
it? It might have been.
If I'm remembering correctly. I might be thinking of another medieval movie that he was the bad guy in. He was
All I know is Morgan Freeman's in it.
I'm drawing a blank on this one. I know I brought
Robin
it
Hood,
up, but now I'm
Prince
drawing a
of
blank on it. I only remember Kevin Costner because he's on the cover holding the bow like this. That's all I remember about the whole
Alan
thing.
Rickman.
Yeah, did I?
Is that
did
what
I
you
say
said?
that?
I didn't hear
I thought
you.
I said
Yeah.
that. I remember I said Alan.
I couldn't
I
hear
might have
you.
said Richmond.
Yeah.
I
Well,
might have said something, but
I,
it's it's Snape or not.
Yeah, Snape.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched Harry Potter.
Yes.
I just tripped myself out. It's the Die Hard guy.
Everything I do. Yeah, the Die Hard guy. I do it for you. Because that's the movie that beautiful song is from. More Canadian references with Bryan Adams.
yes.
Okay.
We're
Craig, let's finish your list.
finished my list. All right. Well,
Oh,
I don't
damn.
want to. I don't want to dip into the easy ones. So I'm just gonna go straight to Babe. And this is a thing
Babe.
that Andrew and I learned together this evening. Babe, you're familiar with Babe, are you not, Scott?
Yeah, I've never seen it though.
You've never seen the Talking
You've never
Pig?
seen
Man,
Babe?
you're missing
Again,
out.
like
You
When
were
I-
a sheltered child.
Yeah,
No,
what'd
I
you
just
do
did,
as a
like-
kid?
You were like reverse sheltered.
when I was a kid, I didn't like kid movies. Like there wasn't many I liked. Like I've always just been that way. Like Shrek
you
was
were
one of the first
reverse
ones
sheltered.
I remember really liking. Like I remember my parents would always we wouldn't watch like there wasn't that many kiddie films. Like I watched a lot of films with my grandparents too, and it's like my grandpa wasn't the type to put on a kids film just because there's kids around. He put on a movie he wanted to watch, and we had to watch it with him, which was cool because
Today
I
we
James
watched Pride and
Bond.
Prejudice.
No, that wasn't my grandpa's type. It was more of a John Wayne or a Steven Seagal. He loved Steven Seagal. Like I know, but he was my grandpa, so I had to love his taste in movies, even though I don't watch any of the ones that he used to watch. But Craig, what else is on your list? What did you just say? I forget now.
I said
Babe.
Babe, which is based on a book called The Sheep Pig, which is interesting. I just wanted to add that I added Robin Hood Men in Tights to my list, but it probably won't get watched until next week because the choices I have are pack so I can move or watch Robin
Dilbert.
Hood Men in Tights. There is no.
Yeah, I'd go
Just
with
watch
movie.
Dilbert
There is no
instead.
both. Okay, so that's the end of my list that doesn't include the obvious ones that I could think of off the top of my head, most of them based on books that I have read already. The one thing I wanted to add before we move on to somebody else's is the film adaptation I would like to see, and you guys can tell me if I am missing something, but I've read a few times. Oh, there's two of them. Hang on, let me write it down before I forget it.
Oh, damn.
I like that he's looking it up while he's telling it to us, and we were
No,
like,
no,
"Yeah,
no,
we
no,
have
no,
no
I
idea
mean-
what you're talking about." He's like,
I mean,
"I want to
there's-
ask you guys."
There's two movies there's two books that I've read that I really want to see done as movies.
Okay.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is one. I don't know if there's an actual true or relatively
I think there's
true
like a
adaptation.
I think there's an old one.
Yeah, like that
Yeah,
I've never
I'm not going to
seen.
count that so much.
Yeah, I agree. I remember seeing it on the list, and I was like, I've read that book. I don't think I've seen that movie. I do like his kind of adaptation in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I like that, like, different little bit, like, I like how they portrayed him as tortured. That was the best part of it. And that his alter ego was, like, he was the Hulk, but that part I thought was a little extreme, but I kind of liked it. It fit that universe. But there was that adaptation, and then there was another hulking version of him in Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman back in the
Yep.
mid 2000s. So those are the two adaptations.
Where he just
of
chases
that
him
I
through
know
London
of.
and then just offs him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see like a almost true to form adaptation done.
I would like to
Okay,
see
there
that done, but the version I pitched.
2003.
Oh, there was one in 2003?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, damn it.
I guess I'm gonna have to find it.
It's I think it was British. Like it was produced like in England, so it's not as well known.
That makes sense, yeah. I know there's been a few like TV like adaptations, or he's been featured in a few TV shows like Penny Dreadful. I haven't got to that yet, but that features a few.
Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, that one has.
Sounds familiar.
That's is it Emily Blunt? No, I forget her name now. Yeah, that's a short series, but it takes place in like the 1800s, and they encounter a few of the different like like classic monsters like that, like Dracula and all that. So that's another time I know they popped up. But other than that, I haven't seen them very much. I haven't got to watching that yet either.
Oh, Eva Green.
Eva Green, not Emma. Or Emily, yeah. Eva Green.
Okay,
That's who I was trying to think of. I was just like, it's the E names. They always get me. EM.
It's okay. You should have just said the woman who every movie she's ever been in, you've seen her boobs.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
So the other one,
As we reminisce about
Casino Royale.
just because we can't really spend the entire podcast in silence thinking about that.
Yeah.
The audience would not really like that so much. So the other one, and I feel like this is really going to come in and not get received, is The Andromeda Strain is a book that I've read several times. Absolutely loved it. They made a TV movie for it, but I would like to actually see a movie.
What's that?
What is that
yeah,
about?
The
I've never heard of
Andromeda
that.
Strain is about it's a sci-fi about a disease that comes, like, it's an alien disease that comes in on a satellite that re-enters, and the entire thing is about the scientists that have to figure out how to do to stop it from spreading and figure out what it's doing. It's a pretty good book.
That sounds interesting.
It's based in the 80s, 70s, something like that.
Back when people were tripping balls on LSD.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they made a TV movie for it. And actually, you know what? They made one in 1971. I'm going to stop talking because everything I say has already been done.
If it was done more than 30 years ago, it's due for a remake.
Apparently, I need
According
to
to
find
Hollywood's-
and watch this, though.
Excuse me, Hollywood standards. At the very least, they could make it and put it on the Sci-Fi Network.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
watch it if they made it again.
Yeah, that sounds like something
Make
I
it
would
like
watch.
make like a C-list movie. Like they redid Piranha 2 times, so I'm sure they can redo this.
Yeah, I would really appreciate it. The book was written in 1969, so there you go. It's based in the 60s, space age,
That makes sense.
satellites, that sort of thing. It's got this whole underground bunker suspense motif. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Right on.
I'm gonna call that my list because I want to leave movies for the rest of you guys to talk about. So Andrew,
Well, I appreciate it, Craig.
what besides the obvious? Just start with the obvious choice. We all know
Yeah, I
what
was
you're
gonna
gonna say.
someone's gotta start
so
talking about the obvious
please
ones.
Okay, I'm gonna
hit
knock.
me with your obvious choice.
Hit you with the obvious
Yes,
choice.
hit me with the obvious.
Lord of the
choice.
Rings and The Hobbit.
That
Yeah.
was not where I thought you were
Boom.
going.
Wait, were you thinking the one for him specifically?
Yes, that his obvious choice.
Yeah, well, that's only
The
obvious
Bible?
to me and not him. The what?
The Bible.
Yeah, obviously. No, the Ten Commandments. Yeah.
The Ten
I
Commandments.
thought it was Ben-Hur.
No, we're talking. Oh man, what's his name? Who's the guy who did Spaceballs?
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
Oh, you want to do
His version.
So not
of
the
the
Ten
Ten
Commandments.
Commandments.
No, it's the history of the world.
History of the World. That's what
That.
it is. Yeah, where he loses where he drops them on his way
drops
down.
the tablet. I give you these 15. Smash. 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments.
I don't remember much about that movie except that, and then I think the next bit they do is in Rome, and the sign says "first served, first come" because Latin's backwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little hidden jokes that not many people would pick up on.
That's
Those are the only things I remember from that movie. So,
I think
what else is on your list? I didn't think that's where you were going with going.
Okay,
No,
first.
let's
so
start with
I-
the really obvious ones that everybody knows, and then we'll get to Andrew's obvious one that Craig was getting to. So, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yes.
Which are also on my list for those
Yes.
of you. Who
Which are some of the greatest books ever written, some of the best movies ever made.
You like all the Hobbits?
Mainly the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was
didn't
hoping
mind
we'd
the
go with
Hobbits.
that like
I
little
didn't like that
asterisk at the
they
end.
added a bunch of shit into the Hobbit just to like stretch it out over
They
3
were
movies.
so long.
And they took out
The
stuff.
scenes
too.
were
The
unbelievable,
book
but the
is
story
like this thick, and you guys can't see it, but you know how thick it is.
Yeah, no, I had the Hobbit. I had
You-
all the books at one
you
point.
know how
I've never
thick
read
The Hobbit
any
is.
of them.
Yeah. The Hobbit, the movies are like as long as the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, and the
Yep.
difference is this to this,
Yeah.
and you guys can't see it.
Yeah.
But the point
It's
is
an extra
that
foot of book.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a foot of book.
Yeah, no,
whole
I
tree's
agree.
worth.
Specifically the Lord of the Rings ones.
Yeah, I really like the Lord of the Rings. They're really great, especially when they came out at the time. They were just such a like big event. I remember like that it was awesome. Like I like that they came out during our childhood, especially, or like teenage years, like ish. You know what I mean? Like I like that they were.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't one of those sagas like the original Star Wars. As much as I love them, they were kind of before our time a little bit. So it was nice that we were around for this kind of epic story that finally got to be told properly. But yeah, The Hobbit I felt was it didn't need to be 3 movies. I'd been happy like 2 maybe. Like I could see how they wanted to like tell a little extra stuff, but like the fact that
I was happy that they introduced Evangeline Lilly and then just kept her going through the movies for 3 just to make me happy, but
yeah, like
and that is the only reason they did it.
Yeah. They
there
wouldn't
were
have
like
put that in there
obviously
for
they
the
didn't have
story.
any other reason because she did
No,
nothing
they're-
in the movies.
They're like, Andrew's going to pay to see these movies. Let's just put people
Put
in
her,
them.
yeah, yeah. Like I'd have to agree with that. I didn't like that they put Legolas in. Like I really liked Legolas in the originals, but I know he wasn't in The Hobbit, even though I didn't read
Yeah.
The Hobbit. I know he wasn't there, so it felt really weird, and it looked like I could tell he was older than when he was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because he was in his like early 20s in those, and he did The Hobbit 10 years later, and he doesn't look like really old, but you can see like his face is just a little bigger.
They
And it's
they
like-
did a decent job of making him look younger though. Like they got rid of any crow's feet
Well,
through
he
here.
should have looked
made
younger
him a
though
little
than he was
yeah.
in the Lord of the Rings, because there was like what 50-year difference, something like that. Like there's a pretty big gap between The Hobbit
Something like
and
that, yeah.
That and
Lord of
he's
the Rings.
immortal.
Well, that's the other thing. That's what I mean, though. Like the fact that he somehow aged. Like to me, he looked slightly older. Like he didn't look like haggard or anything. I mean he looked like in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he looks like a 20-year-old, and in Hobbit, he looks like a 30-year-old to me. Just to
Maybe
me.
he was just super stressed about love and trying to take over a throne and stuff.
Yeah.
And that weighed on him.
in the
I can
in the
understand
Hobbit.
that.
So
I'm
then
starting to get the white
after
hair that
everything
he
was
has 'cause
done,
of that.
yeah. And then that's why he was stressed out in the Hobbit. But then
Yeah, like
when
50
it comes
years to
around to Lord of the
chill,
Rings,
go hang out at the
yeah,
waterfall.
he's had some downtime. He's found himself a new girl because Evangeline Lilly's gone. You know, he's chilled. He's calmed down. He's had his green tea every day, his lembas bread, and he's feeling better about himself.
Right before
Maybe that's
he
what
goes
it is.
into one of the most
I
stressful
like that you remembered
ages.
that.
in-
Yep. He has it for first and second breakfast, brunch, morning tea.
Those guys are probably my favorite. Was it Pippin
Who-
and Merry and Pippin?
Mary.
Yeah,
Mary and Pippin.
Yeah, I love those two, and I love that those
But
two actors actually almost got careers because of those movies.
Yeah.
Like,
We're second breakfast. He knows about second breakfast. I don't think he knows about second breakfast, Mary.
I connected so well with them because I got big hairy feet and I eat a lot too. And like I'd be very much like them too, like just to happen to stumble upon something because I was trying to, get some
They
carrots.
accidentally ended up in a battle.
Exactly. It's just like that's how, because I wouldn't voluntarily go fight at the front of the battle. I would accidentally stumble into it. I wouldn't even know there was battle.
3 out of 4 of the hobbits involved were just kind of had to be.
Yeah, they just kind of got dragged along.
Well, I guess you can make the argument that they all ended up having to, but 3 out of 4 of them specifically absolutely did not have to go.
No, they could have been like, no, screw you, Gandalf. Like, Sam could have been like, screw you, Gandalf. I was
what the fuck are you gonna
eavesdropping,
do?
but you can't make me go. I don't want to go to the volcano place. It's called What is it called? Mount Doom.
Mordor.
Is it Mount Doom?
Mount
Mordor.
Doom.
Mount Doom and Mordor. Yeah.
It is Mount Doom, right?
It is
Okay.
Mount Doom.
Yeah, it was because it was forged in the fires of Mount Doom.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so it's called Mount Doom, for God's sakes. Why would you want to go there? I would agree. I'd be like, wizard, kill me. Like, I'm gonna die
Yeah.
anyways. Just do it.
Yeah, really.
But I would have way
Fuck
too
you,
much
Gandalf.
attitude to be a hobbit. Probably it probably comes with that extra 3 feet of height that I've had on a hobbit. So
I'd be more Gimli than anything else.
yeah,
Just kind of accidentally surviving the whole thing.
Accidental pun.
Yep.
I love that because I love Gimli especially because his like the guy who played him was in a couple TV shows that I really liked. So
I think the best thing about Gimli for me, and we've totally just dived in on Lord of the Rings way too much here. I'm going to move on after this.
yeah,
But my favorite thing about Gimli is just in The Hobbit when the group gets captured and they're going through glowing stuff, and they find a picture of his wife and kid, and they both just have these huge beards.
yeah.
And he's like, "What is this ugly thing?" "That's my wee lad Gimli." Just the way he says it gets super like uptight. That's my wee lad
That's
Gimli.
one thing I did enjoy about all the Hobbit. I mean, all the Hobbit movies is the dwarves were great. I love dwarves in anything really. Like
Yeah,
I'm talking
really.
about like mystical, like or like fantasy dwarves. Just to clarify, people, I mean like dwarves in Let's just move on past
Yes.
it.
I was
Harry
gonna
Potter.
make a.
I loved
I was gonna
Harry
make a John
Potter.
Mulaney reference, but I feel like we probably shouldn't. Anyway,
Yes, probably not. Can
promise.
promise?
Anyway,
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I
Potter.
actually did read mostly.
That was the next thing on my list was Harry Potter. Those are the obvious ones on my list. Not going to dive into too much of Harry Potter. There's too many books, too many movies.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode.
We
one
can
of
do
these
a
times.
we can do a whole episode
Yeah,
down the
one of
road.
these days we will eventually. When I've gotten to rewatch
That'll
them,
be the
which has
episode
been
that
Yeah.
I won't talk.
literally like 4 years. We'll wait till after like Fantastic Beasts finish up, or when the next one comes
Yeah.
out. We'll do an episode
Yeah.
like that.
That works.
Yeah, but
We promise.
but we mostly like them. I know I like them at least for the most part. They're not the best movies on the planet, but they're okay. What about you, Andrew? Just a quick like what? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I really thumbs up. I'll give him a thumbs
And
up.
Craig, you've never seen
Thumbs
them,
like-
I'm guessing.
I
Thumbs
saw,
like not
hey,
quite straight up, but like to the side a
I,
little bit.
I saw the Sorcerer's Stone in theaters, and that's it.
Okay, that sounds about right. I feel like your parents wouldn't have approved of Harry Potter.
Not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So what's next on your list, Andrew?
I have some Jules Verne classics. I got Journey to the Center of the Earth
Okay, that's a good one.
and The Mysterious Island.
Which one's Mysterious
Which-
Island?
That's the sequel to Journey to the Center of the Earth.
I've never seen
Journey
that.
2, Mysterious Island.
Oh, I've never
That's
seen
one with The
Journey 2.
Rock.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I've ever actually watched either of those movies all the way through. I know Journey to the Center of Earth, like the story, but I don't know why I do. Because I don't think I've seen the movie. I know it's Brandon Fraser,
Really?
but I'm not
Oh,
sure if
yeah.
I've seen the movie, to be honest. I think I might have fallen asleep during it, potentially. But I don't know. Or it might have been on in the
Totally
background.
possible.
But anyways, yes, those are a couple good ones. The obvious one that I thought you would start off with was Gone with the
Is
Wind.
Gone with the Wind?
Okay,
That
there
was
it is.
what I was
That's later on my
alluding to.
list.
That's what we're all
That's
been
later on
alluding
my
to.
list.
Okay.
1939 classic.
Yeah.
And I just got to say, Scarlett O'Hara might be the most manipulative biatch in the history of literature.
That's fair.
If you guys have anyone who could quite possibly be more manipulative, hit me with it. But I can't think of anyone.
I couldn't say. I haven't read enough books.
And frankly, my dear, I just don't give a damn.
Nice. I know that that's
Yeah.
from this movie, even though I have
Never
yet
seen
to
it.
see
Nope.
it. I know. I've been meaning to. It's honestly on the top. I made like I said this before, but I made a list while I was researching for this of classic movies that I haven't seen yet, and it was the first one on the list. I was like, oh, I should write these down 'cause
Man, I saw that when I was a little kid.
well, that's because your mom loves it too, right?
That's
like you
true.
get that
That's
love
true.
from your mom. That's one thing I've always known about you.
That's
Because you
true.
walk into your home back in wherever.
My folks' house.
Yeah, that's the way I meant to put it. I don't know why that was eluding me. Your folks' house.
My home back where you're
Where
from.
you used to live at one point in time, maybe. I don't know. Maybe grew up
Yeah.
there for a good portion of time. Where you lived when you went to high school. Yes, all those things.
Yeah. Yeah, that place.
Words.
There's a whole cabinet full of like
Yes,
plates and
right
little like,
there.
figurines and stuff to it. So, yeah, I know it's a big deal, and I don't know how I have like known you for almost like 9-10 years and still haven't seen it yet.
I don't know, man. You'll have to catch up on it eventually.
I'm waiting for it from
I
the
intend on
library, to be honest.
Good, because I'm having a go off the wind themed wedding.
Okay, so I need to be.
That's not true. I don't think anyone would ever give me the thumbs up on that. But
I can't.
man can
come up with
dream.
a speech for you like that. No. That's just out of my realm.
I can definitely
Well,
steal
your
speech
speech-
from a movie. I can do that.
your speech would have to be, frankly, guys, I don't give a damn. And then put your glass down, and that's
Just
it.
walk out. I can definitely.
That would be awesome.
I'd be like, just clap, because that would be amazing. On to the next ones. I have a whole group here lumped together.
Okay.
And it's basically all the Disney movies that are based off of Grimm's
So all
fairy
the
tales.
Disney
Okay,
movies
yeah.
That came out before like 2000.
So Beauty and the Beast, Snow White, Mulan, Tarzan.
Yeah.
It wasn't based off Grimm's fairy tales, but it was another one
Yeah.
by Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Not written by Phil Collins like I thought it was
It
when I was a
should have
kid.
been, though.
That's the soundtrack.
Yep. I swore it was written by Phil Collins.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
All those songs fit so
argued-
well. Obviously, it was written by Phil Collins.
I argued with my grandfather like so hard. I mean, granted, I was like, shit, what, like 6-7 years
Yeah.
old, but still,
If it wasn't written by Phil
I
Collins,
thought I was so
How
When
do
you're
right.
those
6 or
songs
7,
fit
you're
so
not
well?
aware that you're only 6 or 7, so you don't know
Yeah.
shit.
You don't know jack shit. And Hercules, which isn't really like solid literature, it's loosely
Based off
based around it.
myths, but it's still
But
good.
it existed, so I stand by it.
It's
'cause
one of
that's
my
another
favorite
great
Disneys, to be
soundtrack.
honest. Yes, and a great
Oh,
soundtrack.
yeah.
It-
Oh,
interesting
for sure.
that you,
My man Michael Bolton wrote the soundtrack, so
I didn't know
stand by
that.
it.
Actually,
Yeah.
Michael Bolton will likely
love
be
Michael
featured on
Bolton.
an upcoming What We Watched this week.
We should-
for sure.
Yeah, for sure, because it's
It
2
is
weeks away.
2 weeks away.
So next, I've got a Time to Kill, which is an adaptation of a John Grisham novel, and anyone who knows me knows I love John Grisham.
I didn't
And
know
this
that.
one,
I knew that.
come on, man, you don't
knew
even
that.
know me. You don't even know
We
me.
just went over. I've known you for 9 to 10 years, and I haven't watched Gone with the Wind. So there's some
That's
things we
fair.
miss on. It's because we're so
So, A
focused on
Time to
things we
Kill
do.
has Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock in it. It's got someone else that I'm not going to mention because he's in a lot of shit right now. Matthew McConaughey, basically, he defends a black man in, I'm going to take a stab. I think it's Alabama court. Somewhere in the
They're all
States,
the same.
anyway.
The South.
Oh, man. Canton, not Ohio.
Oh,
it's somewhere else.
jeez.
Canton's, it's not Alabama.
Georgia.
I'll look it up.
Canton,
I don't think it's
I don't
Georgia.
think it's Georgia.
Louisiana.
it's somewhere in the South,
Yeah.
anyways. Anyways, he's defending a black man there because the black man's charged with a double homicide for killing 2 white fuckboys after they raped his 10-year-old daughter. And it's such an intense story. It's almost like To Kill a
I was
Mockingbird,
gonna say I've seen a lot
but
of
where he's
connections.
actually guilty. But is he really guilty on a spiritual level? Like,
Yeah, should you send this guy away for
yeah.
doing something
For
that
doing the right
everyone
thing?
would do?
yeah,
Canton,
Okay,
Mississippi.
that sounds. I
Mississippi.
love how we
that's what it
missed
was.
Mississippi out of
Yeah.
all those states.
I don't know. It's an amazing book.
Yeah.
And most of the John Grisham stuff that started off as a book and became a movie is great. Like The Pelican Brief. What was it? The Client.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
another good one. But they're phenomenal books and movies. And it's got Sandra Bullock in it specifically for this one. So I'm sold.
Of course.
Next up on the list, something I remember reading in middle school, I think it was. Middle school or elementary school, and then they made a movie about it shortly thereafter, and I was like, what the unholy fuck is going on? Bridge to Terabithia. I don't know if
That
you
was
guys
like-
ever read that
yeah,
one.
I read
didn't.
it,
I've
and
heard
I've
of
seen
it.
the movie. It was like the original Hunger Games, where everybody started to read the Hunger Games, and then they made a movie about it. That would be like the first one that I can think of in that same vein, where the book gets introduced to the school, and then it gets super popular, and then they make a movie about it.
Like The
yeah,
Giver.
like The Giver, with a really weird movie and a
Yep.
really weird book.
I only saw like halfway through,
I've not
but
seen either of these.
Scott, you need to read The Giver. I don't say that very.
did they ever
I don't
make
say
a?
that very often about books I read in grade 7. But like now that I like when we read it, I was like, whatever, this is a stupid book. But now that I think back on it, I'm like, man, that's actually like a
Yeah,
pretty
I
good
remember
book.
thinking it was one of the worst books
Yeah,
I ever
no,
read.
It's actually a pretty good book, and the storyline's awesome. It's very dystopian future, which for those of you who haven't
Ooh.
sat back and listened to last week's
It
episode,
is post-nuclear
Exactly,
war,
yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, see now you guys gotta lead.
I'm
with
sorry.
these things.
It's a
You know, I
dystopian
need
future
shiny
where
first
everyone's-
before-
This
shiny
would've
before
worked.
substance. Shiny before substance.
It's got Jeff Bridges. It's got Meryl
It has
Streep in
Jeff
it.
Bridges in it.
Katie Holmes.
Man,
yeah.
I clearly
He's
don't
the Giver.
remember that well.
Taylor Swift. I don't know if that's going to suck you in, but
This is a recent movie.
You got
Though?
Taylor Swift.
really.
2014.
No.
So that's 4 years.
Then they remade it.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching it, but not recently.
No,
There's gotta be
that
another
was
one.
it, man.
I swear we watched one. Not
Maybe.
you and I, because we weren't in the same school. Not at that time.
Well, they probably had. Well, that was the more recent one. I remember us talking about that one as well when it came out because we had planned on going to see it, but I didn't see it in theaters. But anyways, The Giver, it wasn't on my list. Bridge to Terabithia was. That's a story about an awkward dork who befriends like the new girl in school.
Nice.
Who if I remember correctly, she's having some problems at home, so she kind of just wanders off away from home to go do her own thing and live her life.
To the bridge.
And they come up, which is just a log.
It's an imaginary place called Terabithia. Sorry about the spoilers.
It's
everybody.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
just a
lot more
tree that
meta.
fell over and
I like
and they have this magical land in the forest.
I'm far more intrigued by the story now. I like meta things like that. Like kind of.
Definitely watch it. It is an eye opener.
Is it?
I'm not gonna
animated or-
I'm not gonna. No, it's live action. It's got the kid from the Hunger Games. Who was also in the Journey to the Center of the Earth movies. I'm drawing a blank on his
PETA
name.
guy, right?
Yeah, the PETA guy.
Okay, yeah.
Peter Pitt.
I can remember him in all those roles, like as a younger, like
Yeah.
14, 15-year-old. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe even older than that, but he looked younger.
He was also in Zathura,
Yes, which is on my
the
list.
space version of
Jumanji.
Jumanji.
The like unofficial sequel.
Josh Hutcherson, that was it. Yeah.
Josh
He was on Justice League. I was gonna say he was in Justice League, but no, he was on Justice League. The
cartoon?
show, yes.
Who did he
let me
play?
find it.
A random voice.
I can't. Yeah,
Billy Batson? No.
maybe.
Just a second.
That's all I could
I don't
think
know.
of. That'd be like a
IMDb is
kid,
loading.
like a significant enough role in Justice League that he would have a credit
Yeah.
for it. Because like him doing like a random voice actor child that's like got
He
kidnapped.
was in
Yeah.
Disaster
No,
Artist.
save me, Superman. You know, like that. I feel like he wouldn't get a credit
From the
for.
Hunger
But if he was like
Who-
Billy Batson, I could get that.
Journey to.
I only remember
Who was it?
Billy Batson's only at the top of my mind too because I just
Yeah.
finished Young Justice.
He was in the Polar Express. He
Who was
Justice
he
League
in
Unlimited
Justice League,
as
Craig?
in one episode as young Bruce Wayne.
Oh, so. Oh,
Young
yeah,
Bruce
young
Wayne?
Bruce Wayne, that would do it.
Oh.
That's more than just a kid who got kidnapped. Yeah,
That's probably why
Yes.
it
So I
was
guess
actually.
was
that
a
would be
kid
a
who-
significant enough kid role that he would. But even one episode's a weird thing to just
Have
get,
it
like,
be
for it to stand
like,
out in his credits.
Yeah, have it be like one of the 4 things that they list: The Hunger Games, Zathura, Journey
Yeah.
2,
That's what I
and
mean, yeah.
then Bridge to Terabithia, and that's his list. And then and with Justice League on there. He was
Yeah,
also
that's
on
kinda like
ER,
off.
but that didn't make the list.
Nope. And it never will.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. That's my next.
Oh, nice.
My next
happy
one.
That was a segue.
I wouldn't just tell you
I
guys
thought
to
you were
shut up.
pointing out the silence. I'm like, man, I'm trying to come up with something on the spot. I'm doing it.
I'm Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. Yes, I agree. Go on. Say more about Silence of the Lambs, and I will comment.
Just do that segue again a couple times, please.
Are the lambs still screaming?
I can't really do it that well.
Yeah, I can't do it either. Only Anthony Hopkins can.
Yeah, I heard that. I just recently saw a fact that was like really he improvised that like on the spot to like freak her
I don't know,
out.
but he, even as Odin in Thor, like he still looks a little creepy to me just because he fucking nailed that role.
Yeah, it's true. Like he'll always be a
In-
little
in
Hannibal
trans-
to me.
in the last Transformers movie, like Transformers: The Last Night, like I half expected him to just murder someone, and then
I'm always
bite
ready
their
for
leg
him
off.
to murder somebody because there's so many roles that he like. Not even just Hannibal, but like I don't know if you guys seen Westworld yet, but he does that kind of same thing in Westworld a couple times where you're like,
Oh, he's in Westworld, eh?
yeah, he's like the main. Well, he's the like runner. He's the dude that runs Westworld.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you gotta watch it, man. It's so good.
Actually, we talked about
We've
Westworld
talked
last
about
week.
Westworld a lot in the past couple weeks, it feels.
It's good.
See,
Second season.
to me,
That's not important. Back to
that's not
Silence of the
important.
Lambs.
What is important is Moby Dick, the next movie on my list. I remember watching that as a kid, and being like, "Who the hell is this jackass playing Ahab?" Gregory Peck, one of the greatest actors
Who plays
ever.
a character with one of the greatest names ever. We've talked about this.
Ahab.
Yes,
It's Ahab, right?
and Ahab. He plays two. Ahab Atticus Finch. If that isn't a Star Wars name, I don't know what is.
He's the captain of Starkiller Base. Aren't you paying attention?
Yeah, there we go. He's hunting the white whale, which is actually just the
Yes.
Millennium Falcon.
Exactly.
I like that metaphor.
Boom. This just became canon. This is
the
Forgot to
second week in
Grow
a
Up
row where
canon.
we're writing Star Wars canon.
Yep.
It's not gonna be
No.
the last.
Nope. So this brings me to my second to last, and it's kind of a sidebar, but it's not really. It's all the James Bond novels.
I'm glad you grouped them all together
don't
because I
have
did
time
too.
to
I just put
talk about
007.
Yeah, because I read all those as a kid. My grandfather had
Oh,
the whole
nice.
collection. I read them all as a kid. What's your guys' favorite Bond movies?
Oh boy. Well, I've only seen the modern ones with Daniel Craig.
Okay, give me your number
my
one.
favorite one. Now I'm drawing a blank on it. Skyfall.
I'm a big fan.
Skyfall's
Yeah. Oh,
Skyfall's my
good.
favorite.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm gonna give you two. So I could give you one for each of them, each of the actors that did James Bond, because I love each of them have their own like special thing to them. But my two favorite, what I would say, would be Doctor No with Sean Connery.
Okay,
just because
that's my
classic.
favorite.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah, because that's the first. That's the first one.
It's the first.
And I watched them in order,
Yeah, same.
one a night as a kid.
It was the first
at my cottage,
it was
so
one of the
that's
first
why
original
Doctor
ones
No
I've
is my
seen,
go-to.
yeah. So that was and then Casino Royale. I really liked the take they took. Like at first, I was
Yeah.
a little hesitant because I grew
Le
up
Chiffre.
I grew up with the Pierce Brosnan as my James Bond. So when they went to switch
Yeah,
it up to
Die Another Day.
exactly, I love Die Another Day. It's a terrible movie, but I kind of love it because it was part of my childhood. But when they went to switch to Daniel Craig, I was a little hesitant, but I really, really loved Casino Royale. Like I bought that movie as soon as I pre-ordered that movie. That's how.
Oh
I've
yeah.
pre-ordered like 4 movies in my life, and that was one of them because I really enjoyed it in theaters, and it just
See,
I love the
here's-
take they took
here-
on it.
Here's my theory. I think every James Bond movie before Daniel Craig's 4 was campy, but it was made to be campy.
Yeah, I agree.
They were meant to be a little,
A little
unbelievable
goofy, and I like
sort
that
of
about
thing.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, like he just not in a funny way, but like you're kind of sitting there like, nothing really intense happened.
yeah.
And then you get to the Daniel Craig ones, and everything's so high tech, so modernized, and it's like a
brutal.
whole,
I like how, like,
it's a whole
brutal and
new
raw it is.
version.
Yeah, because he's just like,
Oh yeah,
like I could
like
feel
when he
it.
gets the monkey fist on his grundle.
Yeah, exactly.
Through the
It's just like
Ugh.
I really like the villains that he goes up against in these new
Yeah.
ones, especially in Casino Royale, the Shifra,
Oh yeah.
and played by our boy
Blofeld, the guy who plays Blofeld, just it gives me the shivers how good it was.
Yeah, I agree. It was just really well done. Like I really like all the Daniel Craig ones in general. I like all James Bond movies, to be honest. Like, God, we need to do an episode about James Bond after I've rewatched all.
Yeah,
the movies.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's say our second episode in March will be James Bond.
That does not give me a lot of
That's a
time
lot
to
of
watch
movies.
20 movies.
Gives you tons of time.
20 movies.
It gives you tons of time.
20 movies. I
Yeah.
have to watch one Marvel movie on top of that a week too.
You tell us how you have
That's
all
fair.
this free time.
I finished Young Justice. I have nothing to do.
You can do it. Come on, man.
I will try to get them all done. I have them all on Crave TV, so I can just like pop them up each one. But I like that idea. Let's do it. Let's say in March
Okay.
we will do an episode for 007.
That works. That works.
Just to give me a
Sometime in
leak
March.
way, and in case we forget.
Let's try not to forget.
I'm writing it down right now.
Perfect. So, this comes to my last movie on my list.
Yes.
I need a drum roll, guys.
That was a terrible drum
Okay.
roll. I'm sorry, it's an empty
It's
box.
okay. I stand by it. Shawshank Redemption,
Nice. Great.
which is easily top 3 favorite movies of all
I
time.
would have to
The
second
Shawshank
that.
Redemption.
I did not see that till I was a couple years into high school at least, because I don't know why. And then my aunt and uncle
I
showed
think
it to me.
I think I was like 15 the first time I
Yeah,
saw
and
it.
then my aunt and uncle showed it to me, and I just loved it. It was such it's such an intent. Like I've never read the book, but I want to read the book because how good the movie was. Because I just want to.
It's fairly accurate. Like there
That's
isn't too much
great.
difference.
Like see one like I don't mind them not being 100% accurate.
hard
like,
to do.
Like I said before. Yeah, like I like a different telling, just like a slightly different version. But I like what I like about books, like movies that are based on books, is going back and like when it's a really good movie, I like going back and reading the book and being like, oh, what's the little differences? What did they pick up to make the movie? Where did some of these new ideas in the movie come from? So like Shawshank, I'm really intrigued to go back and read the book to see exactly how close it is. But now that you're saying it's really close, I might not read it.
just go watch the movie 2 times.
I've got 20
It's
James
worth it.
Bond movies to get to.
See, I haven't
But
seen
Shawshank's
that
great.
till I was about, I don't know, 25 probably. So I haven't seen it yet.
Wait, you haven't
It's funny
seen it
because he
yet?
hasn't seen it yet.
Okay, I was just making sure. I'm like, wait, is Craig older
How
than
old
us?
is
No,
Craig,
he's not.
really? Like, how old is he? Oh, wait, he's 20. He's
I haven't had
Craig, you've seen the Family
Obviously,
Guy
I've seen the
episode where
Family
they
Guy
do the.
episode. Okay,
That's
perfect.
pretty much it.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
when
I
they
guess
do the
it.
joke about
Yeah.
being obtuse. That like the obtuse reference is directly from.
I knew what the
movie.
Family Guy reference was.
Yeah.
Much like a lot of other movies I've never seen.
Oh, I'm being obtuse. No, now you're being accused.
It's got the yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's my
Scott,
list.
did we
Nice.
miss anything?
Oh,
Well, okay.
well, you guys.
That was a loaded question.
Yes and yeah, it's a very loaded question because there are
I
so
know.
many. Like we talked about this before. There are so
Infinite.
many, and I have not
The Bible,
seen
for
exactly.
instance.
Like the Bible,
The
it's
King James version.
there's like just hundreds of books. I mean, movies made off of different stories from just the Bible. So there's a lot of things we could go into, but the one we're talking about our specific favorites this week. So Andrew mentioned a lot of like the basics. One thing he touched on that I thought we should talk a little more about was Zathura and Jumanji in general, because those are both. Zathura is based actually off of Jumanji. I don't know if you guys know this. It was John Favreau, I believe, and he wanted to make he wanted it to be an actual sequel, but there was some rights issues, so he just did kind of his own kind of like
a total ripoff.
yeah, which is fine because it's in space, and I loved it. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like it was cool. It was a cool take. And it was long enough after Jumanji that it
Dax
was
Shepard.
Yeah,
I think Kristen Stewart's in it.
I
She
think
plays
as a
the
young
sister.
as
Yeah.
like something like teenage-ish.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in forever to be honest, but I really enjoyed that one, and I didn't mean.
And she gets the hot for Dax Shepard, but she shouldn't have the hots because it's her brother.
Yep.
So it's
They're-
Star Wars? What?
Awkward.
Sorry, spoilers.
You gotta
Spoilers.
watch Zathura, man.
Well, I will now that I know Dax Shepard's in it.
Yeah.
That's fair. But anyways, so there's a bunch to get through, but I'm just gonna list off a few like classics that I've never seen that are based on movies that I've been want to get to. So Gone with the Wind I mentioned before was one of them. The Godfather. I've never seen any of the Godfathers.
Me neither.
I know they're really good.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one in this podcast that hasn't.
I want to get to them, but I haven't got to them yet.
Time out. You haven't seen
Neither
The
one of us,
Godfather?
man. I know all the references though.
What?
They're on Netflix. I've been meaning to get to them. There's so much content, and I can only watch.
It's
Like,
hard enough
fit so
keeping
many
pace
non-superhero
with
things in
that
a
are-
week. There's 7 superhero shows I had to keep up with week to week. How am I supposed to?
It's
fit
hard
those
enough
things in?
keeping
You
pace.
give
with
up
what
on those and
comes-
you watch The
what's
Godfather.
new coming out. Like it's hard enough to watch the stuff that's coming out so we can be relevant with our own generation, much less go back one or two.
Oh man.
Or however long.
Yeah.
But yes, but it is on my list of classics to get to. I will admit that. I know it's a great film. It's a classic. So that's why that's why I wanted to mention it. That's why I'm going to mention these other ones too, that I haven't seen, but are classic ones that I feel like should be mentioned. Like One Flight Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's a good one.
Yeah, The Schindler's List, The Shining, and A Clockwork Orange. Those are the ones I haven't
So that's
seen.
what that
either.
I haven't seen that
No?
one. Clockwork
Okay.
Orange.
So that one I heard's pretty okay. It looks a little crazy, but I'm curious to check it out. The Shining, I might have seen that when I was like younger. Like I know what The Shining's about, but I can't say I've seen it enough. To,
I think
like,
it's
really
one of
talk
those
about
things
it.
that most people know the basic points
Yeah.
and they've seen spoofs. Like the rip-off they do of it for the Psych episode with Lassie's new apartment.
remember
Like
that
that's
one, yeah.
unbelievably accurate.
Exactly. Yeah. So that,
Here's Lassie.
which is why I think I have the general idea of what it is.
Yeah.
Which is always what prevents me from watching a lot of these classics. Is I've seen all these like parodies and skits of them, and it's like I think I know.
I
them.
think being a Stephen King thing too,
Yeah.
like it just became so mainstream and like you just everyone's talked about it or you've seen the scenes
Yeah.
or like you've seen rip-offs.
It's a
right?
hard
Little-
thing to want to
little
sit down and be
tidbits.
like, yeah, tonight's the night I want to
Yeah.
watch this movie that I've heard literally everything about but never seen. Like I've had the whole, I don't want to say movie ruined for me, but kind of like this. Like for me, movies, I like the surprise of a movie. So with a lot of these classics, I know that surprise or that twist that made them a great movie before I've seen any of the movies. So it's just like, oh, okay, so he was dead at the end of Sixth Sense. Like, whatever.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Way to
But
ruin
that's,
it.
that's in a song. That's a line from a song.
And he jizzed in his pants.
Exactly. So you know what I mean? Like I've seen The Sixth Sense. Maybe again, like it's one of those ones that I'm not sure. I don't even know if that one's based off a movie.
I just want to pitch that The Shawshank Redemption is on Netflix.
Oh, great. That means I can watch that this weekend.
Yeah, just so you know.
Instead of these other ones. Anyways, let's get back to some ones that I love though. I didn't particularly. I really loved the books of the series of unfortunate events when I was younger. The Jim Carrey movie I felt was meh, but the TV
Is
show
so
that Netflix did is great. When I was young and they made when they moved the movie, I said to my brothers that they should have made it a TV show instead because it's such a good like story. Like each of the stories really interconnected and well done and divided up that they could have easily been like, oh, this is a season or this is part of the season, which they did for Netflix. And I'm just like, I just love it. So I know that's technically a TV show, but I really like those books because they're actually a set of books that I actually
And it
read.
was a movie with Jim Carrey
And
and
it was a
Craig
movie.
Ferguson in it. Those are the
Yeah,
only
there
two
was a-
people I know.
Wait, did you say
Yeah,
Craig Ferguson?
Ferguson's in it. He's one of the theater troupe.
Oh, he's one of the
Yeah.
actors.
Yes,
Right?
yes, he is.
Yes. Okay, I haven't seen that one forever because I didn't love it, but I love those books, so that's why I had to mention that. There are a lot of another classic, King Kong, that was based off of a book. Apparently, that's one thing I didn't really know. I thought that was just kind of. I thought that was someone like, yo, let's make a monster movie. Yeah, get the big gorilla. Let's call it King Kong. I thought
Yep.
that's how King Kong came up with. So I thought it was interesting that it was based off of a book. Along the lines of giant animal things, We're Back, a dinosaur story. I don't know if you guys either of you ever saw that.
Yes, with John Goodman.
Yes, and a bunch of
Yes.
dinosaurs that just get like I can't
Turn off the rock.
exactly,
Oh man.
and they get like caged and have to perform.
Sing this song with me.
I can't remember very many details of it, But I remember
I
loved
remember
it.
everything.
And I've been meaning to
Oh,
rewatch
yes.
it forever. And when I saw it on the list, I was like, I can't do
I
this.
didn't
without
realize it was a
mentioning
book.
I didn't know that either. And so like when I saw that it
man.
was based off a book, I was like, oh, putting that on the list. I have a giant list, but this was when I put a star
Oh
next
God.
to it because I love that.
Man, that movie's so good with the good and evil aspects of it.
Oh, and
with the two brothers and brain grain versus brain drained cereal.
I remember I learned some lesson from it. I don't remember what, but it's definitely I learned some lessons from that movie. That's why it's stuck with
I don't
me.
know.
Like there's some life lessons.
I also remember the Triceratops just eating
That's the
sausage
part
all
I
the
remember
time.
the most. and it would be in like a
And those
car or
animated
something.
sausages looked so good.
Yes, that's a
John
great
Goodman
one.
was Rex playing golf
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Just teeing off.
Yeah, it was such a wacky one because that came out slightly after another one that's on my. Wait, no, it's not on my list. I got them mixed up. Like A Land Before Time, because I really liked that when I was younger. So that one came out after that, and I really connected with it because of that. Because I was like, "Yo, talking dinosaurs, awesome! Give me more."
Fucking dope. Yeah. Make it go on for the rest of my life, please.
Yes, but we only got the one. But some other ones, there's so many. They're like I can't get through all these, so I'm just gonna like throw out a few really good ones that I like. The Never-Ending Story I really enjoyed when I was younger. Those are based off of a book. Forrest Gump, that's one of my real like all-time favorite movies.
Man, that's another thing. I didn't realize it was based on a book.
Same here. I thought it was just
Just
really
because
good
it's like
screenplay.
I thought it was just they picked out main
Yeah.
historical points and turned it into a movie.
Apparently it's based off a book. So now I got to find that book and read that, and then I won't have more time to watch some other stuff. But anyways, Forrest Gump, The Da Vinci Code, and along with that, Angels and Demons, because I really like those. They're not the greatest quality of movies, but I really connect with both the books, and I really liked the first movie especially. The second one wasn't quite as good, but I really liked The Da Vinci Code. It really got me thinking, and it got me into reading again back in like near the beginning of high school, because I really wanted to read the book and dive into it more and learn all, like, for me it's like I like learning the little secrets that you don't learn from the movie, like the little background details, like what's his name likes to swim.
The real important stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's just the first random example that came to my mind, to be honest. But anyways, so many more to get to. Did you mention The Green Mile?
I did not.
Okay. Well, I like The Green Mile. You gotta love, what's his name?
Michael Clark
Thank
Duncan.
you. I always get his name mixed up with somebody else's three names. But yeah, may he rest in peace. He passed away, right?
Yes.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. But I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was like such a great, like, interesting, well-told story. It's one of the few movies that'll make me almost tear up. That doesn't have a dog dying. It's just about people, and I'm just like, oh, he's
Him and Tom Hanks, man.
yeah,
So good.
They'll bring tears to my eyes, and so I really like that one. Another one that I didn't know was based off of a book, which actually now that I mentioned it, I'm kind of surprised I didn't know this, was Jurassic Park. That's based,
I also didn't know that was based off.
like,
of
to
a
me
book.
now that I think of it, it makes sense.
I thought that was just a Spielberg vision.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of Spielbergs are based off of books, and we just don't think, we just give all the credit to Spielberg.
Spielberg gets
I was thinking
everything.
about that. Like I think about that sometimes, like with Stephen King's the opposite way actually. That like a Stephen King's movies getting adapted, and then like for the longest time, for some reason, I didn't think he was a filmmaker, but I associated him as like something like
Yeah.
a filmmaker because he has so many of his adapted. So I think it's a little bit of the reverse with Spielberg. But yeah, so Jurassic Park, some other ones, Train Spotting and American Psycho. Those are a couple great movies. Just interesting stories. I'd be really interested to check out the books for those two. And then, so another one that we all love is Die Hard that I didn't know. I only found out like a couple months ago that it was based off a book. Yeah, the book's called Nothing Lasts Forever, which to me sounds like a James Bond movie.
A James Bond. Yeah.
But I was like,
Nothing lasts forever.
But yeah, that's the book it's based off of, and I was like, oh,
Jeez.
that's one of the few ones I actually remember to write down.
That's almost disappointing.
But I'm interested in checking out that book though, just because I'm like, what did they turn into? Because I know it's not a direct, like I'm pretty sure it's not Nakatomi Plaza in the book, but I think it's just some other corporation, to be honest. So I'm curious, like, what little changes they might have made with that one. We mentioned 2001: Space Odyssey. Oh, all the Draculas. can't forget those. All the classic
Okay,
monsters
yeah.
in general. So Dracula, Frankenstein, we kind of mentioned before. I really love most of those. Like we said before, with like the Invisible Man, I haven't really seen that classic, but I want them to still try with like maybe not the monster universe, but it'd be really cool if they tried to remake some of those.
They just need to go
Yeah,
and listen to
that's a
our
callback to
Hey Listen to
Exactly,
Hollywood,
and then they'll have some ideas for that.
to the initial
Yeah.
podcast
It
days.
feels so long ago.
But one of the last ones I had was Treasure Island / Treasure Planet, which is based off of the Treasure Island book.
Which
Yep.
I liked.
But the
yeah,
movie
didn't like
Treasure
the look of the
Planet,
book.
I
The
really loved.
Muppets Treasure
and Muppets
Island.
Treasure Island. That was actually the one I wrote down, was Muppets Treasure Island, because I love that one growing up. I love a musical.
And it wasn't just because of the Beach Boys.
No, it was just because I watched it a lot growing up, and it just kind of
Was it because of
ingrained
what's
into me.
his face? Oh
I think that was
man.
one of the ones my grandma actually liked to watch, so she would put it on when she would watch all of us. But I really liked that one, and like Treasure Planet I really liked, because that was, to me, one of the
Yeah.
first like kind of updated versions of a classic story they
Yeah.
had done, especially like I think it's a Disney movie if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it was so it was like kind of original, but they updated it a bit, so I really like that concept. I'm a big fan of when you take a classic story and just throw it into the future. Like let's be honest, Star Wars is King Arthur mixed with Nazis in the future or kind of in the past, but it's in the future. Does that make sense? Like that's why I love Star Wars. A lot of things are like that, and so that's why I really like that one in particular. But the last one I just want to mention, because I don't want to go on forever, because I've got a really long list, was Interview with the Vampire. That was with Brad Pitt and
Yeah.
who's the other one? It's another slightly big name actor. That's the other dude. Is it Tom Cruise?
Let me look it up.
Yeah,
Might be.
I think it's Tom Cruise.
It might be. I'm pretty sure it was a short guy, so.
Yeah, I think
That
it
would
was
make
Tom
sense.
Cruise, to be honest. I think Tom Cruise is the one that turns Brad Pitt's character. But I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was based off a book, but it makes sense that it was based off a book, because
Brad Pitt,
the story itself
Tom
seems
Cruise, Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas, Kirsten
and
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, way before the Spider-Man days. But yeah, I really liked that one because it was an interesting story. I really enjoyed the way the story was told. I really love a movie with any movie with kind of like flashback portions. So, like I like that they flash back to like a certain part of his past for a certain chunk, and then they go back to his interview and then go to a different chunk of his past. So I really like that, and I found it was really unique storytelling. So that's the last thing I'm going to talk about today, because otherwise we'll go on forever. There are just endless books based off of
Movies based off of books.
I mean, movies based
there
off
are a
of books.
lot of books based off of movies too.
There are a lot.
Oh, I forgot about
Specifically
Moneyball. How did I forget Moneyball?
Novels.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Kill
you didn't have
yourself,
more
Craig.
sports movies that were based off of
Well,
books.
Moneyball is I completely forgot it. That would be my favorite. That or The Big Short would be my favorite film adaptations.
The
of
Big
books.
Short, that's one we forgot
Yeah.
about too.
Yeah.
There are so
I know.
many great ones. We can't get to them all because we've already done an hour. And
I'm glad those came to
Yeah.
mind just before the end.
but any listeners that want to mention any ones that we might have missed, feel free to let us know. Just send us an email or anything. But
That way we can either read or
Exactly.
watch movies.
Yes.
Probably watch
yeah, we'll
movies.
probably watch the movies, to be honest. I can't read
Some of
that
us
far.
haven't had a library card in 3 years. When you have a
Having
library
fun
card.
isn't hard.
I've got one.
Mine is still to the
I
Fonthill
shredded
Library.
my Port Colborne one because it was falling apart.
I got an Ottawa one so I could use their printers.
That was a good idea.
Nice. It still counts.
Still counts. But anyways, I want to know what did you guys watch this week?
Well,
Let-
Craig,
let's-
you want to say
Let's do
2/3
this
of my
together,
list?
man. So we watched Bob's Burgers. Obviously.
Bob's Burgers.
You guys and my brother.
Because
Which leads
It's
us
crazy
to
the fact that you two are always in sync with one of the cartoons that he'll be watching, or one of the cartoons he's watching is always in sync with one of your two.
That's because
It's
Will
weird.
secretly
Yeah,
follows
he
the
knows-
podcast.
he
He,
knows
doesn't
what's up.
tell us, but he secretly is.
That would be something he would do. Just listen to it on the way to work every day, but not telling
Yeah.
me, because that would encourage
tell
me. And,
anyone.
you know, you can't
Yeah.
do that for your younger brother.
No.
No, exactly.
Nope.
So I watched
Never
that,
ever.
But so before a
Alright.
Bob's Burgers viewing session, earlier this week, I happened upon a film by a director that I love about a thing that I didn't know very much about, and I highly recommended Andrew watch it, and he enjoyed it as well. It is a film called A Futile and Stupid Gesture. Scott, have you seen this yet? Like, have you seen it on Netflix at all?
What's
it's
it called?
A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
I have
Are you familiar with the film?
It's
Animal
based
House?
around National Lampoon.
Yeah, so like the magazine, National Lampoon. So it's about Doug Kenny, the man who created National Lampoon. He wrote Animal House. He wrote Caddyshack. So
okay.
it's
That's
based around that. It's directed by David Wayne, who did Wet Hot American Summer, and it has a bunch. It has a pretty good cast. Will Forte plays Douglas Kenny, who I can't pinpoint where I've seen him, and I looked him up and I still couldn't pinpoint where I've seen him, but I like him.
His name sounds really familiar to me. It sounds like somebody I would know and like.
He's
I approve of Williams.
He's good.
It's probably Animal House, because he was in that. Like, he wasn't like.
Yeah, because he's.
Actually, I guess he was a main guy in it.
He looks. Is Will Forte.
Yeah.
Let me see who else is in this that's of note.
Emmy Rossum from Shameless. She plays one of his girlfriends.
Yes. See, it's in credits order. Ed Helms is in it. John Daly, who's the other half of the Kroll Show. Rick Glassman plays Harold Ramis. Joel McHale plays Chevy Chase.
The guy from.
Joe Truglio's in it from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's a lot of comedy actors that are in it. Yeah.
Big names just showing up for the sake of being there.
Which I think is funny.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's
so
cool.
like Joel McHale plays Chevy Chase back in the 70s.
Ooh.
Yeah. Jeff from
interesting.
Community.
I like that. Wait.
And he doesn't
there's
look
an entire
anything
fourth
like
wall
he just
break where
is.
they talk about how none of the actors actually look even remotely close to what they're supposed to look like. But what the hell?
Like the guy who plays John Belushi, I was like, he looks nothing, not even anything like John Belushi.
Even have a younger brother who's an actor?
The guy who did
Jim,
the guy who played Bill Murray. Oh yeah, John Daly. I just talked about him. He did a pretty good Caddyshack Bill Murray impression when he's doing the ball washer. So but for Scott, do you know who Doug Kenny is?
Yeah.
You've never heard of him, right? Like Doug Kenny, the guy who wrote Animal House. You don't know who he is?
Doug Kenny.
Okay.
I vaguely have heard of him. Like, I know what the movies you've talked of.
Watch the movie. It'll fucking rattle your cage, man.
Look him up. That is my recommendation
I won't.
to the Forgot to Grow Up listeners who are even considering it. If you don't know who Doug Kenny is, watch it and don't look it up. Because
that's fair. I'm curious to watch this.
His story is a very unique one.
Fantastic movie. You don't want to ruin any of the awesome Lord of the Rings puns that are at the beginning of the movie. And it's just a really well done movie, and I don't like I don't want to ruin it. So don't.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out.
You know
tell
what
me the
they
name
say,
one more
Craig.
time, just so that me and the listeners both know what
It's called A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Futile and Stupid
and
Gesture.
there is
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely
it is
check
also
that out.
a movie where the name of the movie is said in it, and it is pointed pointed out as a fourth wall break because they're walking through the set. Oh, is it the set of Animal House? And
Craig, you act like you don't even know me at all. We talked about this during movie tropes.
I know.
That's my favorite
Exactly.
Thing. I'm the person who loves that kind of stuff.
But don't look him up.
Fourth wall breaks are another one of those ones I love.
The Lord of the Rings
Lord
puns.
of the Ring
They
puns
wrote
are
a book
just
called Lord of
unbelievable.
the Rings, and there's a whole bunch of puns based on it.
Well, you know what they say: leave them wanting more. Door. I ripped that one off from it because there's a solid 5 Lord of the Ring puns they just throw out
that's
there.
a great one.
There's a bunch of fourth wall breaks. It's funny. There's a lot of good actors in it. It's a good story. It's about how much Doug Kenny managed to influence comedy. There's an airplane reference in it, which I totally appreciated.
Nice.
Including.
Yeah, this movie was kind of my influence for this week's blog post.
Okay. Right on.
The comedy thing, because I was like, man, what the fuck? Like, it's so funny but serious at the same time.
It just like, yeah, that 2018's not that old.
And like
Best movie I've seen this year, easily.
Yeah,
Cool.
like I watched it yesterday or on Tuesday when I was sick, and it was fucking like it made me feel better.
Oh wow, I'll definitely have to check that one out. I'll definitely
Laughter is the best
add that
medicine.
to my Netflix list along with everything else I have to watch.
You know what? I would say
top,
put that before anything
So
else.
that at
Scott.
least-
Okay, yeah,
At
I'll
the
watch that
very
tomorrow.
top.
then.
We can.
Since it'll be too late tonight to watch. To be honest.
That's true.
Yes.
It is fairly lengthy. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, which is kind
Okay,
of on
well,
the
that's
long side.
If
It-
it's not
it
over 2
feels a
hours,
lot-
it's not a long movie to me. To be
It
honest,
does.
It feels longer than it is, though.
Okay, does it drag?
I don't
a
think
little
it
bit?
drags. It just
It moved.
yeah.
There's just a
You have
lot
to cover
going on.
Oh,
a few
okay.
decades, and it kind of goes back and forth a little bit. And
Yeah.
Okay.
and there's just a lot of trying to wrap your head around all these characters because you know who they are, but then there are other people playing them.
Yeah, no, that sounds really interesting. I sound very intrigued by this. I'll definitely have to add it to my list and check it out when I
Whatever
get home
you
from
do.
work tomorrow.
Don't look up Doug.
Definitely do.
I won't do that. No, I'll just look it up on Netflix.
Yes.
Is what I meant by that.
Yes. But I'm surprised actually that I managed, like, because I spent the entire movie looking up, like, I was like, wait, did David Wayne do Wet Hot American Summer? So I looked that up, and then I look up other stuff, but I never, not once did I do Doug Kenny, so I didn't really know the story, and it's important
Okay.
that you don't, because it's good, but I don't want to ruin it. So there, that's where I'm gonna end it. Andrew, what else did you watch before I give it away?
The only other thing I watched this week is Black Lightning.
Nice.
I watched the first 2 episodes
On Netflix.
on Netflix, and it was flippin' amazing.
It's probably my favorite new superhero show, to be honest. Like, if not, it's tied with everything else because I'm terrible at picking specific favorites. But yes, I really loved it. Well, tell me what you loved about it before I rant about it for 10
I like
minutes.
that it was a fresh take on like all the other DC TV shows. It wasn't something that had been done yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like,
And it's, I mean, not much has happened, and there really hasn't been a whole lot of superhero scenes.
no, like maybe like
It's
5-10
just been-
minutes in each of the 2
Yeah.
episodes, but it's such a good story.
It's been more of trying to like introduce what's happening and like get you attached to characters before they start showing you too
It's
much.
taking its time. I like it. Like about that.
Yeah.
Like it gave you enough. Like the fact that you get some superhero stuff in the first episode, you have to do because it's a superhero show. But the fact that they teased it all the way till the end, and the fact that he's really like he doesn't want to do it. Like he's really like I'm retired. Like
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit. I'm like, yeah, you are. Go beat some people up. Oh, I loved it. Like I got so psyched, especially during the second episode when he wakes up sore. I'm just like, that's my superhero.
And he's got to take the pills and go take a bath.
Exactly, and he's just like struggling to like I hate to say that I like seeing that, but I do. I like seeing a struggling superhero. Like I don't like it to all be easy. This is why we don't have a Superman specific movie. Like Supergirl kind of I think like faults on that sometimes, the fact that she's like almost invincible. Like they do a really good job of depowering her sometimes, but I really like that he's like him just doing it in general takes
He's
a
just
wear on him
like
because
he's a guy
older.
who happens to have a power.
Exactly. Like he just has to do it because nobody else can do it.
Yeah.
Like I connect with that feeling sometimes. Just like, no one else
Like
is gonna do
even
it.
watching,
like, fine.
even watching Daredevil.
Exactly.
You know,
Daredevil's very
he never
similar.
really wakes up and struggles to get out of bed.
Well, sometimes,
he's-
sometimes, but not as much.
Not like to that extreme.
Yeah, not just because he had to, because that's the best part. Like he didn't get beat up that much. He won the fight.
It was
like,
just going through the motions.
Exactly. He just it was just a standard night technically for a superhero,
Yeah.
but because he's
Yeah.
older, it took so much wear on him, and I love that about it. That it's like,
Well, I mean that jump from the
that can't help,
rooftop to the ground, like that's gonna mess up.
yeah,
his knees.
that's gonna be
Like,
hard.
that
to
superhero
I
landing.
can't even do that.
That blows out
anymore.
knees.
Like I don't jump off the back of a truck anymore because I'm just like, no, I want to blow a knee.
Nope. I can't even take a step from inside my parents' house out into their garage without blowing an ankle. So
I know that
no-
step. I know that step. It's a dangerous step.
Yeah,
It,
fuck that step.
that garage
My
is
ankle's still
always
messed
dark.
up from
Even
it.
if you had all the headlights pointed into the garage,
All
and
the-
all of
all
the
of the
above
lights.
lights on, and every floodlight at the local Canadian Tire turned on, you'd still be like, "Where is this shadow coming
and
from?"
God said, "Let there be light."
Yep.
Yep. That's exactly what that garage is like. But Scott, that's everything I saw. Hit us with your list. Let's try to wrap this up.
Yes, I'll try not to go too in depth. I did watch quite a bit this week because I finished up a bunch of different things. I'm keeping up with a lot of stuff. So stuff.
Like Young Justice.
Yes, I did finish up Young Justice. I watched the whole second
So
season
good.
during Saturday or Sunday. I really enjoyed it. I like Young Justice has like re-sparked my love for superhero cartoons. Like there was a time that I was kind of like, I don't know if I really enjoyed them anymore. I was like, ooh, they're a little maybe too kiddie, but this one just reminded me that they can have such great stories and like
Well, it has. There's so many twists.
twists
involved, right?
and the characters
especially
are great.
the second season.
Oh my god, like
The first one was just kind of secrets being kept, and then the second season,
Just-
it's like, what the fuck is going
and
on?
like I watched it all in a day and I still like didn't see it coming, like in a sense. Like I was prepared
Oh, yeah.
for like the way it was like
That-
going,
the same thing happened to me.
and then it like switched and I was like I was happy it switched, but I was shocked. I was caught off guard, and I liked it. It was a perfect kind of like awe shock that I just really enjoyed, and I'm super psyched for the next season of it.
I liked that in the first season they introduce Garfield,
Yeah.
the Beast Boy,
Yeah, oh yeah.
where they introduce him, but then the second season he just is, and they don't give you any information about how he figured out he had the powers and what happened. I was like, oh shit, Martian blood transfusions turn you into superheroes.
I didn't know, like honestly, I didn't make the connection until I watched the second season. I saw him, and like she said the name, and I was like, "Oh wait, that was from the first." That's the kid who got the transfusion. He's her.
and that's why he calls her sis all the time, because like they share the same blood.
Blood siblings. And,
Blood siblings, yeah.
And I love that about it. I love that that's where he got his powers, and that's why he is a Beast Boy, because it's like it's always kind of weird. That's
He
like,
can
why do you only
mutate, right?
change into animals? And it's like, oh well, it's because he's not full Martian. He just has kind of a Martian ability to change, but not full on. So he has to focus on animals because those are There's a lot of like it gives an explanation for me, and I love that about it. And just Young Justice.
Young
Great.
Justice.
Like
So
I'm ordering
good.
all the like Justice League DVD from the.
Do it, man.
Like
Do it.
Justice
I
League
have
and
them all,
Unlimited,
worth every
ordered them
penny.
all. Like I already got my Batman started. The fourth one on Amazon is gone right now, so I'm waiting for that to come back. But
Hot day.
I re-sparked my love of those Saturday morning cartoons that we used to watch.
It's so worth
Yeah.
it, man. Just you got to do it.
Yes. So some other stuff I watched this week, though, the normal stuff like The Flash, Supergirl, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There was one thing there from The Flash I wanted to mention was, you haven't been keeping up with The Flash, have you? Okay, then never mind. The thing I wrote
I haven't
down.
seen it in like 8 episodes. What happened?
Oh, well, there's just this random chick in there who keeps popping up a couple times.
Oh, Dawn, right?
No.
The one there,
Wait, maybe.
the one people think might be Dawn.
I don't know who Dawn is, so that's why I'm confused.
That's Impulse's aunt.
Oh, that would be
It's
cool.
one of Barry and Iris's kids.
That would make
Like,
sense,
it's
too.
the same one that showed up at their wedding.
Yeah, and
right?
she showed up a second time in this week's episode.
I think I don't know if it's canon yet, but I think a lot of the buzz online has been that it's probably Dawn.
I like that
Dawn
idea.
West.
I like that it's connected
That
to
come
her.
from the future.
Because how excited she was. I was like, okay, she obviously knows that he's the Flash.
That she got to see their wedding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, she's somebody, but I don't know enough about that. And I didn't want to look it up too much because I'm trying to like keep it as a mystery to watch, like to discover in the show. But I was really curious. So that's a cool explanation. I'm curious to see if it plays out that way. But she was also writing in some weird language. Like it looked almost like Kryptonian.
Maybe it's the same weird language that Barry was writing in at the beginning of the season.
That I didn't even think of that. I went Kryptonian because I watched Supergirl literally right before.
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
Yeah.
I hope
like
it's
he's
that
writing in
sense.
the super weird like Speed
Yes,
Force
I remember
language,
you meant.
right?
Maybe
Maybe
I forgot
that's
it, 'cause it's been a few months since that episode, but
yeah.
yes, okay, I'm excited for that. Okay, well, okay, next I just really
so
want to know
enthused
about
with this.
that now. Like, I'm just like, when's the next episode of freaking Flash?
That's
out?
my theory. Having not even seen the
Well, see,
episodes, that's my
I
theory.
like that you have a theory.
Is that it's the Speed
I'm gonna
Force
like
language.
borrow your theory a little bit, or like not claim it to be my own, but like use that as my explanation and my justification for myself. Like, but anyways, some other stuff. Not something I watched, but something I learned this week was the Legends TV show, Legends of Tomorrow.
Yep.
Kid Flash will be officially joining that when they return. So
Yep.
I'm excited about that. I think me and you maybe talked about that. We thought he was going to be going there.
Yeah.
And
My question for you, I actually meant to ask you because
Yeah.
I haven't been watching. Like I fell off a while ago. I'm just waiting for them all to come out on DVD so I can binge watch them now.
for sure.
How did they get rid of Jax on Legends? Like they killed off
he
Martin
just left.
Stein. What's gonna happen to him? Because like Martin almost died when Ronnie died.
Part of
Like
Stein dying was them separating, them being connected that way. Does that make sense?
No, because the same thing happened with Ronnie and
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. Like
and
that, there was a
Stein.
connection between them. That's why they would like get
Yeah.
sick if they didn't reconnect. So when Stein dies, part of that was them solving that connection before he died. So they weren't connected anymore as he died to save Jax. Does that make sense? So they've developed.
No, that makes no
Okay,
sense to me.
Do you want me to like kind of spoiler it for you a little bit to explain it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because when Ronnie dies, it's they go up into the into the black
Yeah.
hole, and then Ronnie dies. Stein gets spit out of Ronnie's body.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened?
So is it because they weren't fused anymore that
So what it was,
he's allowed to
in
die?
a sense, yes, because so they were trying to work on defusing them because Stein was planning to like his character had stuff going on.
he was leaving anyways. Yeah,
So like they had already written in a storyline of his character wanting to leave.
he wanted to meet his daughter. Or
Yeah,
something,
exactly. He
didn't
has a
Or-
daughter
yeah.
now because like she was an apparition in a sense, but
Yeah.
he has a daughter and a granddaughter coming. So he was planning to leave the team anyways. So that was part of the story of the season, and they were trying to figure out a way to separate Firestorm, like the two halves of Firestorm,
Yeah.
so that they could be separate.
Split the Matrix. Yeah.
So while they were trying to develop that, that's when Stein ends up getting injured or shot by a Nazi.
So racist,
That's what
man.
happens though. He gets shot by a
So
Nazi.
bad.
And so then Jax fuses with him to save his life, but it's like
Because he's dying.
yeah.
he
So
doesn't
like yeah,
take-
exactly. So in order to save Jax from like dying to try and save Stein, they end up perfecting the disconnect, and then that's ends up what kind of kills Stein in a sense, like or lets Stein go because like Stein could have maybe held on, but it was possible that it would have killed Jax too. So they developed this thing, and then they were technically disconnected, and then he died right after that. So Jax had to take this
Yeah,
thing.
Stein, he just like dies in the chair, doesn't he, or
Exactly,
something?
right, with just
Or, like,
Jax
on the
just
bed.
standing there. And I'm like, you guys didn't want to let him say goodbye or anything?
Yeah,
You guys got a whole team.
Piece of
Is it that
shit.
big of a rush? You couldn't take 5 minutes to say bye to the team? Like, you're about to
Yeah, really.
die. Like, okay, whatever. That's just me. So, yeah, that's how they, like, separate so that he's not, like, so he has no powers after that. After Stein dies, he has no.
So get the fuck off the Wave Runner.
Pretty
right?
much. Well,
Wave
at
Rider.
first he stuck around for like one episode or two, and then he was like, "No, I can't do this without him."
Yeah,
Does
he's like,
some
I
epic- yeah.
literally have nothing to contribute to this team
well,
anymore.
they didn't go that route. Like they went the route of
He's gonna be the team mechanic or something
Well,
like
no, like the reason he left. I mean, they go at first they go the route that he can contribute to the team in other ways. Like he can still like help, but then they like near the end because this is during the crossover, right? So like during the end of
Yeah.
that, he just was like, I can't do this. I'm still kind of like he misses Stein, and he's just like I can't do this without him. He's the one that dragged
Well, he had
me
him in his
on.
head for so long,
That's
right?
exactly
Yeah.
it. He's like I have to figure out who I am again without him, and so yeah, that's how that all happened, and that's why Jax just left. Like
Once you get an old guy inside you, that's
yeah,
it.
once you get an old guy inside you and he dies, you just have to rethink your life and
Yeah.
not hang out with the cool people flying through history. I don't get it.
No, you stay with the cool people flying through history forever. What else is on your
Yeah,
list?
so like, I'll just quickly go through the last few things. I watched the Grand Tour because that's on week to week now on Amazon Prime, so I really like
Yep.
that. I said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just caught up on all the Star Trek Discovery that's recently come out. It took a hiatus over Christmas, started up about a month ago. The second half of the season, I am liking even more than the first half because they have a parallel Earth with evil mirror versions of themselves,
Oh,
and
shit.
we all know I love that. it gets so intense for like it was 3 episodes I watched that they've had out so far. I think there's a few more, but those 3 episodes are my favorite of the whole season so far. I'm into that show now, Star Trek Discovery. And I watched. What else I watched this week was just a few movies. I watched Captain America for our countdown to Infinity War, and I watched Now You See Me 2. I just watched that this morning, actually.
Oh, so good.
I loved it.
Good.
I really liked the first one.
I would have liked them to keep what's her name.
I would have. That was one of my disappointments. But who
Isla Fisher? I would have loved.
I loved
for them
her,
to keep her.
but who they got to replace her, I thought was a fun change, and she's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name or where she's from, but it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I like that they switched it up enough from the first one that it wasn't exactly the same story, but it was similar enough that I was happy. Like, it was still a magician story, and it was still that stuff.
Mark Ruffalo kills it.
I liked seeing him doing things not the Hulk.
I love Muff. Okay.
I was gonna say I like Mark Ruffalo, and I just combined the M and the roof.
Yeah.
I just kept going. Mm-hmm. I love Murph.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. But I really like him not playing the Hulk. That was also the other thing that got mixed in there too. I put Mark Ruffalo Hulk all in one word. But yeah, I like seeing him playing non-Hulk roles. But the last thing I watched also was I started watching the Tick TV show.
Okay, how is it?
I really like it. It's a comedy.
The guy who plays him, like, I hate how much. Yeah, I hate how much I love him.
He is great, and like my best.
Like, the first thing I remember him being in is just Couples Retreat, where he plays the asshole like host.
Yeah.
When they just shred out to Rock Band.
It's
like, I just love him.
Yeah, and this is very him being allowed to be his most him, because the Tick is a very unaware superhero of like the rest of the world. So the way they have the Tick start off in the pilot is this is pretty much when he's been born, in a sense. Like, he doesn't remember anything else. All he knows is he's a superhero, and he wants to be a superhero, and he's like the most campy superhero or like comic booky superhero that you can like imagine, and I just love it because it's kind of wacky.
I remember watching the animated series when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine it being very similar to that. Yeah, and he's just like really wacky character, and I'm just like, I'm liking this. It's funny. It's
I just remember seeing all the previews for it, like when it first came out on Amazon Prime.
And it doesn't take.
Whoa,
it looks great.
Am I naked all the time?
Yeah, am I naked all the time, or am I always dressed? Whoa. Yeah, I just watched that scene. And so it's really funny because everyone else in the world, because it is a world that has superheroes, but most of them have kind of like faded away, and there's just only a couple like special particular ones. And then he comes out of like nowhere and kind of like this,
and no one really needs him. He's just kind of
actually it focuses kind of around, like, I guess his sidekick, who's kind of this like nerdy guy who's kind of like also apparently a little insane. So they like, at first he thinks he's just imagining the Tick, and then like in the Tick doing all this crazy damage, and then eventually like he's talking to his sister and he's like, I'm imagining something, and she's just like, what are you talking about? And she's like, like right now I see this big blue guy beside me, and she's like, no, I can see him. And then so he like realizes it, and it's just really interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes, and I like this different take on it because it's definitely more of a comedy. It's only half-hour episodes, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I'm also, do you know what universe the Tick is from? Like, I don't think he's in Marvel or DC, but at one point...
No, I think it's his own thing.
I think so too, but I wasn't sure, because at one point, one of the girls had a shirt that said Gotham Girls. Like, they were doing there was like a roller derby thing, but at the same time, I think it takes place in New York.
Maybe it's just one of those things they try to pay as much homage to.
I think maybe
everything out there. Kind of like Deadpool,
yeah,
right?
because they also have a superhero called Superion, and I'm like, okay, well, that's your superhero, Superman ripoff, kind of.
Oh, for
like
sure.
Like your douchey Superman ripoff. Because he's a douche in it too. He's played by some dude from a couple TV shows. I can't remember what. I have no idea who he was, but yeah, I really liked that show. The guy's really, like, the way to describe it is weird, because it is definitely like.
I'll definitely have to give her a look,
because it's funny, and like, I mean, if you don't like it's only half an hour, so you can test out the pilot, and if you don't like the pilot, the next few episodes are pretty much exactly the same, like similar to it. That's funny, kind of not a lot. I wouldn't say not a lot happens, but it's definitely more you're focusing on the characters than the plot progressing a whole lot. Because the first episode's all about like a suit getting stolen and that kind of thing, like a super suit.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I watched this week. It was a little long. That was a lot of talking I did. But yeah, I watched stuff.
Just stuff. Whatever.
Stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, Craig,
Oh,
that we
that's
left
okay.
you out of there, but you don't watch any superhero TV shows. It's your
No.
own fault.
I have.
You
I
are the
have-
problem in
I
this
have to
situation.
spend my time doing other things.
Like editing
That's my
the
favorite
podcast.
part to like go rewatch our videos after they're done is seeing what Craig does while me and Andrew go on rants about superhero stuff.
Craig
that
looks up the
input on.
cast.
Is he just like
Because
filing his nails or
Craig
something?
looks
or-
up the cast.
Because for those of you at home listening right now, Scott and I can't see Craig. He is just a picture of himself sitting just like this.
Well, he's doing his
Yep.
video recordings so that we.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we are just as surprised as you when we see the video.
Yeah.
On that note, hopefully you enjoyed episode 17 of the
17.
Forgot to Grow Up podcast.
Do you remember when we were 17?
17.
It's forever ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
8 years ago
Almost
almost.
8 years ago. Yeah.
Episode Jake Delhomme.
Thanks for listening this week, guys.
You were the. Make sure you tune in next week.
Bye.